And we're live. Phoenix Revolution, transform unapologetically. That's the show with Stacey. We're going to bring her on to get started by reintroducing herself, her show, and what's up for today. Stacey, welcome back.
Thank you, Nicole. How you doing?
I'm doing
Good, good,
very
good,
good.
good. Nice to hear your voice. Well, I am so excited, Nicole, because this is my first show where I have a guest.
Yay.
And so it's gonna be an incredible show. So for those of you who are just tuning in and you're new to me, hi, I'm Stacey the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Phoenix Revolution, Transform Unapologetically. I am, as the title suggests, all about transformation. I am the Phoenix Reborn. I happen to be in a personal Phoenix rising phase in my life right now. And quite frankly, everyone in the world right now, I believe, is going through quite a transformation right now. We are in the soup. We are in the chaos. We are in I want to say really what we're in right now is a Phoenix burning collectively, where everything that we have known up to this point no longer exists. And we have no idea what the vision of what we're going to be able to create out of this is going to be. We're still just sort of regrouping, and well, actually, we're not even regrouping. We're still in the process of things just kind of burning and not being really sure where things are at. And I thought, what a perfect opportunity to bring one of my longtime friends onto the show so that we can talk a little bit of transformation. So, Lisa Gandhi is coming on today, and she is a Vedic astrologer extraordinaire. And she also, and we're gonna talk a lot of astrology here. And but I also wanted to point out that she is just an absolutely incredible human being. I've known her for a number of years now, and she also happens to be very active in the autism community because she has a child with autism, a nonverbal child with autism. And I've had the beautiful pleasure of meeting him and experiencing his light in the world. And I wanted to just acknowledge Lisa for that. But before I bring her on and introduce her officially to you guys, I wanted to say why this was such a kind of an interesting experience for me. Lisa, firsthand, single-handedly changed my mind about Vedic astrology. When I was opening myself up to, astrology and sort of spirituality and on my awakening journey, of course, astrology is one of the first places you go. You don't have to be a spiritual person to know that, horoscopes are everywhere. And so I was curious about the horoscopes and quickly discovered there are a number of different formats of astrology, different systems of astrology, just like there are different systems in tarot. And when I started to explore the Vedic astrology system, I felt that the information that I was receiving was quite fatalistic. A lot of black and white, a lot of extremes, a lot of if you're born with this chart, there are certain things about you that are never going to change. It's just luck of the draw, sucks to be you. You're just stuck like that. And that just is not my jam. I don't enjoy that at all. I don't believe in that. I believe that we create our own way, that we are co-creators of our own lives and our own experiences, and that astrology really gives us a visual blueprint of what our divine blueprint is when we come into this life. And so I was very anti Vedic astrology. And then in pops Lisa with all of her fantastic wisdom and knowledge and her passion for this system of astrology. And I mean, it has just kind of blown my mind. So, Lisa, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Please say
Hi, Stacey.
hello. What's going on in your world, girl?
Well, had like 5 hours of sleep.
Oh, yeah, I know. Sleep doesn't come easily to you. You're lucky if you get a few hours every night. I know your life is busy.
Oh, yes. But Kana was in a good mood today, so he was excited that I'm going to be on your show. And thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. He's such a sweetheart. Lisa, maybe you can tell our listeners, kind of maybe how we connected, how we first met, and the connection that, sort of we have to Caden, and sort of that starseed energy that he exudes all the time.
Yes. So, being lost in this world of trying to understand autism and handling a nonverbal child, you're kind of in survival mode daily. And it got to the
Mm.
point where it was very challenging for me and dad. And so we had been discovering intuitive mediums to help with these nonverbal children. And we were very curious about getting some support because Caden was just different. He didn't fit the mold of any autism school, autism resource. We felt really in our own bubble. So we magically, or it was just the divine universe connected us to Stacey, the Black Feather Intuitive, and we thought, why not try this out? We've never had any experience with the spiritual intuitive, and so Stacey enough was kind enough to do not a usual on-site in-home meeting, but she was very
Yeah.
understanding to the fact that Kaden was nonverbal. So as soon as we met her, I still remember it was Labor Day weekend 2019.
Wow. Look at your memory, girl.
Yeah, it's that Virgo energy.
Yes. Yes, we are. We're both
Yes.
Virgos.
Yes. So she walks in, immediately sees Caden, and says, "Wow, has he always been that skinny? He's going to be 6 foot, and he's a crystal." And me and Dad were like, "What is a crystal?" So spent so much time exploring this, and just what an amazing first session. Not only that, but I was so blown away with Caden's connection with Stacey, and all of the enlightenment you provided us, starting with, oh, he doesn't sleep, give him Epsom salt baths. Oh, he's not calm, take him on a walk in the evening, which I never did because I thought it would just make him more hyper being strapped in the stroller. Changed my life. Caden slept well. I lost weight and became healthy from additional
Oh.
walks. And then I said, Stacey, I need to do a session with you. And you've pretty much transformed my life.
Aw, you are
um,
so
I,
sweet, girl.
I was lost and just, I guess, at the fork of the road, you know.
Yeah, at a
And,
crossroads.
and Stacey, just with your guidance and um, I know you don't like to take the credit, but you really inspired me to kind of dive deep into the spiritual, mystical. And that's exactly the time I started getting into Vedic astrology and learning. So,
Well, that was actually going to be my next question to you, is what got you into astrology? I didn't really
mm-hmm.
know that about you. So
Okay.
first of all, thank you so much for saying all of that. You don't need to say any of that. And in fact, I just showed up and I was the conduit. So, sure, of course, who wouldn't like to take the credit? But really, it was just about that being open to connecting with Cadence guides and connecting with your guides. And you and I just hit it off. You and I and Dad hit it off, having a great time, and sort of developed a friendship outside of the sort of the professional relationship of things as well. So I've just been so in awe of you and your journey, and just quite frankly, it sounds so cheesy and pedantic, but how freaking strong you are. I could not handle and do the things that you do on a daily basis. So, like, back at you, girl. Like, oh
Thank
my
you.
God. So, I want to ask one quick question for you, sort of just regarding your astrology journey. And then I thought we could dive in and just sort of talk some transformation. Maybe you can pull a chart or two, and we can really get into helping listeners to understand the current energies that are going on right now that are motivating our transformation, and maybe some ways that we can all kind of sink our teeth into that. So, the
Mhm.
question that I have for you is, what aspect of the Vedic astrology system do you find that you're most passionate about? Because I know for me, like, I love the tarot, And
Mm-hmm.
there are certain elements of tarot that I could take or leave, but then there are other elements of tarot that I'm like, oh my God, I'm all in, and I just can't even, like, I can't even think about this. Like, I'm so obsessed with it. I'm always about it. And these are the people I like to help, or these are the types of readings I like to do. So what are you most passionate about where that's concerned?
Right. So, I didn't have a lot of exposure to the Western astrology, but the Indian Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac system. So there is a difference of zodiac degree, which kind of confuses people because there's a 24-degree difference. So when you're used to your sun sign and reading the newspaper, that I did growing up, find my sign in the magazine and read the generic prediction and think, I don't know, that didn't all come true, but it was just
Yeah.
entertainment. It was entertaining. So with the Vedic system, me being Indian, I did grow up with some exposure in my early 20s. Honestly, I didn't know much about it, but it was coming to the point where, all the pressures of, oh my gosh, like you're at the marriage age and why are you not meeting anyone? Like something's wrong with me.
Mm.
So I had someone actually contact someone in India, do a Vedic reading on me. And honestly, it was just 6 lines. Never met the person, never spoke to the person. But the 5 lines was mind blowing because
Yeah.
within the analysis, they had said that there was going to be delays in all aspects of my life, which was my studies, education, my marriage, and then that would link to obviously you'd have, if you married late, you're going to have a child late. So I'd been beating myself up about my studies. I was on an 8-year program and just blaming myself for, a
Mm.
lot of delays in my life. And then eye opening to feel, okay, I don't need to be stressed that I haven't met the one. It's destined for me to have a different timeline, you know.
I
So
like that.
then
So
I
kind of
think
empowering for you.
I think the instead of blaming myself, kind of embracing the Vedic astrology, it really does give a lot of detail, I feel, compared to the Western. One of my gurus, Joni Patri, she moved from Western to Vedic and really has experienced how it's just a lot more detail about someone's life and can guide you along all the chapters within your life. And I think it was empowering with Caden, with us being so lost, with him being verbal, you know? And
Hmm.
you can really get negative and depressed when you have a special needs child. You can go down that tunnel where I see no light, you know? And
Mm.
with Caden, the progress has been slow and it has required patience that once we actually got connected with some amazing Vedic astrologers and told us that, well, he's going to speak and he's this spiritual soul. And then it honestly, a lot of the guidance correlates with your sessions with him, which is amazing, you know,
Oh,
with
yeah, to get that validation when you hear it from more than one source. Yeah.
right, and it being completely different, but that he is this mystical star seed and the telepathic abilities is communication when people just think words and speaking. So it's given us light. I think that's a great, kind of, summary of giving the light and the hope and the optimism, that's it's not just phony. It's it got me into astrology. I was blown away. I started dissecting my chart and kind of going through the struggles and then finding out, wow, this was all meant to be. And it's all timing, like you talk about divine timing, energy, you know?
Hmm.
And
God, I love that.
it's so, I mean, we both believe in the mind, body, soul, connection being
Hmm.
so important. And that is important in Vedic astrology because I'm guiding on connecting with your own spiritual. And, you mentioned how the Vedic astrology didn't strike your interest at first. And, these upcoming Vedic astrologers are more twisting it modern and contemporary, you know? which
Yeah.
is exciting because I'm in that category where,
Yes.
hey, we're in life, it's not black and white. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not, oh, you have your Jupiter in this house, you're doomed. you know?
Exactly. That was the thing that turned me off the most about it was
Mhm,
I just, that just never resonated with me. I don't believe that,
mhm,
we come on this planet and we're just destined with one life path and that's it. I believe, and as I've gone, through my spiritual journey, I believe that astrology, regardless of the modality or the system that you choose, astrology is the blueprint. It is the peek into the
mhm.
blueprint that you chose before you incarnated, right? So there is a certain component of destiny or fate, but it's not set in stone. I always like to say it's the starting off point, right? Like if we
Right.
take the literal analogy of the blueprint, you get an architect to design the home for you. And originally, before you set out to build the home, you say, okay, here are some of the objectives. Here are the goals that we want to reach. Here are the themes that we want to experience, and here are the people that are going to be coming in. And I want this wall here because I think I want a bathroom off the kitchen, and I want a large laundry room, and oh my God, the living room is going to be the most important space. And then when you actually get into this life and this world, and you start living it, and you're being presented with different choices and options, suddenly having the bathroom off the kitchen isn't so ideal. You want to extend the kitchen, and so then you tear down that wall. And it's really all about making different choices in the moment. And
Mhm.
I love that, like you said, you are modernizing the Vedic, what's the word, not dogma, the Vedic tradition, and you
Mhm.
are bringing it into something that is really feasible and tangible for what we've got going on right
Mhm.
now. Because, like you said, we're all living this life. We
I
really
think,
need the guidance.
with like yours and my work, I think, everyone's doubting themselves and really what their full potential is. Isn't that a good word? Because you and I, we can see and guide individuals towards their full potential, which is
Yeah.
why my motto is becoming the best version of yourself, you know,
Yes.
taking that
Absolutely.
chance, embracing your qualities. And, I love how you are all about individuality and you've brought me out of my shell a lot.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful because I'm a
Oh.
completely different person than when I first met you. And you know that. You can
Well,
attest
I,
to
I
it.
wouldn't say you're a different person. I would say that the
hmm
person that was always within you isn't so
The
afraid to
growth.
come out now.
Yes, the growth,
Yes.
the evolvement. That's a great word.
Yes, it is the evolvement. And I just want to point
Mhm.
out that I absolutely loved the way that you expressed your passion about Vedic astrology giving light. Oh my God,
Mhm.
that's the
Right.
tagline I think for the show today is, the astrology is about giving light. So on that note,
Yes. hmm
let's give some light. Let's take a look
Yeah.
at what we got going on. And before I forget, I had Lisa pull up a chart of kind of the US right now because there's so much, I feel like
Mhm.
globally, no matter where you are, where you're listening to this from, we're all kind of being affected by the major shifts and the chaos that is occurring here. I want to say it is a natural phase of creativity, right? Is the chaos, and we are in that. But I wanted to ask really quickly so I don't forget, do you do charts for parents with autistic kids?
Yes, I do. And I have a video. So I have a YouTube channel, Lisa Astro Channel. And I did a video on how Vedic astrology can analyze things about autism and how it's guided me with my son. So I can definitely share that link with you. Um,
Yes, I will put that in the description on my YouTube channel for sure. I
okay.
wanted to make sure
Mhm.
that I asked about that. So, yeah,
Yes.
I think that's so
hmm
important. Like you were expressing with your story, you
hmm
guys felt so lost and so alone. You don't have to feel so lost and alone. That you're somebody who not only understands exactly what they're going through
Mhm.
in their situation, in their journey, but you also can understand it from that spiritual perspective and give them a more well-rounded sense of guidance, giving them light, giving them hope, and giving them a pathway forward. So I think that's great.
Mhm. So when I generate an individual's Vedic birth chart, I'm able to discuss with them their personality and their what skills, strengths they have, areas to work on, their financial
Mm.
outlook, relationship with family, siblings, marriage outlook, children, spirituality, foreign travel, career outlook, social interactions, professional networks, health and well-being, and their mental peace.
All that and the kitchen sink. I love it.
All of it
I think
summed
it's
up.
so
Yes.
important.
All
Love
areas of
that.
life. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're so we're moving out of a space of feeling compartmentalized all the time and moving into wholeness. And some of
Mhm.
us are a little further along with that than others, but I really believe that's the key to not only surviving what is transpiring
Mhm.
in the world today, but thriving within
I
it
mean, yeah,
and being
I mean,
part
we're
of that
in,
creative process.
right. We're so lost right now that, you and me are going to be a guiding light for many,
Hmm.
um, through these times. And, especially with people kind of deciding, should I go entrepreneur or have a job? And it's so scary. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, so it's both of us will be really, able to guide many through these times.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, on that note, let's talk some transformation. So,
Yeah.
maybe let's give us an overview of kind of where things are at right now from the Vedic perspective.
Hmm.
Maybe talking the next maybe couple of months out,
Hmm.
and what we can focus on.
Yeah, so I mean, big changes right now. So with we call it the inner planet and outer planets. The inner planets moving a lot quicker, which is Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars moving quick. And then you have the outer planets, which we tend to focus on more because their energy stays longer, which is Jupiter, Saturn, and the two shadow planets, north node of the moon, south node of the moon, Rahu and
Okay.
Ketu. So that's kind of what we look at. So right now there's shifts in the outer planets. So Saturn moves signs, and I want to remind everyone I am doing sidereal zodiac, so it may differ from the Western, but Saturn entered Pisces on March 29th, the day of the solar eclipse. So
Mm.
what is important is that Saturn was going to meet with Rahu, the north node of the moon, which was already currently in Pisces. So what it's doing is it's making a malefic conjunction, which is kind of what we're feeling right now.
Yeah. So
Right?
malefic as in shaking things up, not feeling super sturdy, maybe some
Right.
more negative energy. Am I getting that
Hmm.
right?
Right. The negative energy and just honestly, like just within the United States chart, it's in the house of unpredictability and transformation. Um, so
Well,
this,
there's some real truth to that. You can't argue that.
yeah. So this time frame is March 29th through May 18th is the really uneasiness, and then there's some smoothness, so there's some hope. you know.
Hmm.
Yes, because Rahu, the north node of the moon, is going to move into Aquarius and away from Saturn. So that's gonna kind of steady things, and you'll have to watch and see, as people will be skeptical. But right
Yeah.
now, it's shaky, but there is, again, that light there. So that's one, and then Jupiter is going to be entering again around the May, new energy in the sign of Gemini. So what that's good for the United States chart is that's the public and other people, which other people from the government, so all the people, masses, public. Jupiter is going to be spreading protection, optimism, and abundance. So in line with that complex conjunction going on, that's going to improve May 18th with Jupiter for a quick transit of 5 months through October, but not bad after that. Still remains good, just to let you know. Um,
Okay, good.
so
Good.
yeah.
We need some
So
good.
it's like right now it's shakiness with the economy, but it's a good sign that there's some discipline's gonna come in, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So, um,
Sure.
all of the shakiness and um, like how you started off the show with that, we just don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
We are
know?
in unprecedented times. We are in truly in uncharted territory. We have remnants of like historical past events that I feel are influencing this, but it is a completely, I mean, it's a new era.
Mhm.
It's a completely different thing. Technology is different today, and the approaches are different, and there's just a lot that's going on.
Mhm.
So I love that you were talking about Saturn first and then Jupiter. So from my very novice uh, knowledge and information around astrology, and basically from a more Western approach, I
Mhm.
always see Saturn as like the parent planet. Saturn gives
Mhm.
the structure, the boundary, the limitation, oftentimes the restriction around things.
Mhm.
Saturn is, the teenager who says, okay, me and my friends are going out, and we're going to have a great time, and we're so excited, we're going to the state fair, and then we're going to go to so and so's house later on, and whatever. And Saturn comes in and says, well, I hope you can fit all that in before 8 o'clock, because that's your curfew. but
Mhm.
but dad, like, but things aren't even like, we're still going to be at the state fair at 8, like we're only meeting at 7. And Saturn says, okay, so then I guess you have to choose. Are you going to do the state fair, or are you going to go for 5 minutes with so and so or such and such? And I want to say Saturn
Right.
often feels like it's a bit unfair, but it also
Mhm.
gives, I want to say,
The
structure that
discipline,
yes,
rules,
the discipline.
regulation, discipline,
Yes. And
responsibility.
very much responsibility. And also like being responsible, but then also putting responsibility on the person. So me as a person being accountable for my own choices and actions, and
Mhm.
recognizing that me being responsible for my own choices is freeing. It's liberation. And that is
Mhm.
Jupiter. Jupiter is not necessarily liberation, but Jupiter is
Mhm.
expansion. Jupiter is, I want to say, I always think of Jupiter as like the Sagittarius energy, where they want to travel, and the whole world is their oyster, and let's
Mhm.
go, let's say yes to everything, and let's move forward, and
Mhm.
and that fire and that passion. So I love that you were talking about Saturn affecting us until about May 18th, and then we have sort of a little bit of a release of that,
Mhm.
and then we go into Jupiter. So I always love being in Jupiter because I'm an A type. So I always love having a new goal. I love going big or going home. I love the idea of expansion. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that Saturn into Jupiter transition, so that maybe we know kind of how best to use that energy in our lives to make it work for us?
Yes, because Saturn is going to be in Pisces zodiac sign. Pisces is the 12th zodiac sign, the last zodiac sign, deepest water sign. So it is going to connect people with their spirituality. And if they don't feel they are connected to anything, they're going to want to in these troubling, unsettling times, you know? So having some focus in that area, it's going to be really big
So,
because
sorry, didn't
yeah.
mean to cut you
Mhm.
off. Keep going. It's
No,
going to
no,
be
no, no.
big
Go ahead.
because
Yeah. No, I mean, because the Pisces Jupiter sign is people are going to want that hope and abundance, and
yes, that's what I
Saturn will
was
give some
thinking.
focus into it's Pisces, the house of spirituality, and some isolation, sitting, meditating, thinking about what's most important to you.
I love that.
It's a
I keep
yeah, and it
I
will
keep
help heal us.
I keep thinking of this the saying, like a person who's lost their faith. Like,
Right.
I feel like
Mhm.
perhaps we, as a global community, yes, we're talking specifically about the United States chart, but it's affecting everyone globally. So, as a global community, I feel like right now everyone is kind of in the shitstorm and saying, "What the fuck is happening?" And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of like, I've lost my faith in everything that I could count on. It's like waking up in
Right.
the morning and the sun didn't rise. And
We're all
and everyone's looking
skeptical.
around.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone's
Yes.
skeptical. Everyone
Lost.
is
Hmm.
lost, no
Yes.
vision of anything. So
Hmm.
Jupiter is going to give us that vision, correct? Because we are
Hmm.
moving out of that restriction and limitation, and now we can start to see the possibilities, perhaps.
Right. Because right now, we're skeptical. And then think about it. Times are moving fast. So I didn't talk about the
Yeah.
north node of the moon. Rahu is moving in its own sign. Rahu's technology, advancement, innovation, and it's moving in its own sign of Aquarius. So it's going to be very strong. And
Mm,
it's every 18 years that the North Node returns back to the zodiac sign. So 18 years ago was when Facebook, all social media was launched. So what that means is we're getting into AI and so much technology advancement. It's going to be a lot to take in, right? Along
Well,
with
we've already
everything.
seen a lot of that already. Like,
Hmm.
the technological advancements have been pretty
Hmm.
profound over the last 4 or 5 years. And, based on what you're saying, it's only going to get faster. It's only going to
Right.
accelerate at this point.
Uh-huh. And then Jupiter moving into Gemini, a communication sign. So,
Mm,
business is going to change. Businesses needing to use technology and the old stuff's not going to work, you
yeah.
know? So you're not going to
Yeah.
survive if you're not, that word is great for us evolving, how we
Hmm.
help individuals evolve, the country and world is evolving, you know?
And it's
And
evolving based on what we choose to do in our individual lives. Putting the
exactly.
focus on our
Hmm.
individual evolvement helps the collective to
Hmm.
evolve in that regard.
Right.
Yeah, I
It's going
love
to
that.
require people to develop skills and be open. And that's where we both can help guide them in the areas of here's your strengths, build on this. You never thought maybe you could run a business, or do something or look into this industry for jobs. Have you ever thought about that? So where you and me can show them the light,
Yeah,
in
talking
these
about the, the
times.
the potentials and the possibilities. It's so funny. I'm chuckling on the inside here because it's typically been my path that I tend to be a purple unicorn among the white unicorns. So I'm different even among the different. And one of the things that stood out to me was that I always tend to be a little bit ahead of the curve for good, for better or for worse. I've always been ahead of the curve by about 3 years. So I go
Mhm.
through some major trauma, major crisis, major transformational experience, and nobody else, knows how to help, or it's never happened before, or there's just there's no foundation or structure or system that can, sort of address the issue. And then 3 years later, the rest of the world starts going through those things. And so I've recognized
Mhm.
that in my entire life as being part of my path, that I need to go through it and experience it, because I'm then going to be able to assist others who are going through it en masse. And one of the things that's really standing out to me is about 3 years ago, I hit a wall in my business where I had a team of 9 people working for me, doing a lot of the back end stuff so that I could just, be my little star and show up and do my thing and do what I do best. And I had to downsize drastically it's me and Marianne. She's phenomenal,
Right.
and thank God for her. I would be so lost without her. And through that process, I had to, with much resistance, with much kicking and screaming, I might add, I had to learn how to do all this technological bullshit, which really isn't bullshit because it's the way of the world now. And I'm seeing it now in hindsight that's like, I had to start doing it just before AI really started to take off. And AI started to take off about a year and a half ago, where all of a sudden it was everywhere. And I recognize now, like, I would have still been paying people like 3 grand a month to do stuff that I now can do because of AI. And I know there's a big controversy out there with AI. Some people hate it, some people love it. I am a person that I believe in, everything can work for you or against you. It depends on the intention that you set when you're working with it. And I know for me with my business, AI has been an absolute game changer, because it's not that I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, but technology with my energy, technology doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. And I'm just so grateful for AI, because it has taken a lot of the stress out of the excess learning that I have, the learning curve that I have been in for 3 years, in learning technological aspects of
Mhm.
business that just aren't my wheelhouse. So I wonder if
Right.
that is kind of what you're,
Mhm.
that you're alluding to as well, that we're stepping into that
Mhm.
time, and that there are going to be tools that can help us. It's about, I want to say it's about setting the right intention for yourself where that's concerned.
Well, every time a new technology is introduced, there's always that resistance, or it's so brand new, right? Think about
Hmm.
iPhone when it first came out, everyone was skeptical.
Yes,
How's it going to do everything for us? Now if you lose your phone or
you're
drop it in water,
devastated.
you can't even
Lost.
operate, right?
It's
It's the
so
same with
true.
AI and how much knowledge we've gained, and connecting better with the technology, is
Yeah.
so yes, you're right. It's good and bad, and how you kind of work with it, and of course it can be used for bad, right? Um, everything has to be managed, monitored, and with Saturn responsibility. There you go.
Yes, we do need that Saturn
Hmm.
energy, you know, the
Hmm.
Saturnian. Not that you want it like an overlord, but you definitely, and it's sad that we still live in a world today where people cannot self-monitor. That there are still
Hmm.
people today that really truly don't understand the basics of, like, what's right, not right and wrong, but like what's morally appropriate, and morally isn't the right word.
Well,
I just, like, I
it's
don't
kind of
need
like my
somebody to tell me
Instagram
what to do
page,
or not do, you know? Yeah, what's your
but
Instagram page about?
Instagram page with Caden and all the cyberbullying comments,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And people
Like,
tell me, turn off comments. I feel so bad for you. But I say, but parents we're collaborating, and I'm going to keep it on and just build a steel spine. So let the
yeah.
ignorant, it just shows me how lack of knowledge and education on severe autism, I'm going to continue on.
Again,
Mhm.
that's that strength in you. You have so much strength. I'm just always in awe of you. I am the sensitive Sally. Like, and I don't get a ton of comments on my videos or anything like that. I invite it. I wish people would interact with me a little bit more, so that it's making a difference. But when I do get like a negative comment, it takes the wind out of my sails all the time. I
Mhm.
always have to buck up and be like, hey, listen, stop taking things so personally, Stace. Like, this is a person who has no idea who you are. Like, they're being evil for the sake of being evil, and I just
Yes.
think it's so sad that we're still, in 2025, we're still in that space. But I hold out hope that the transformational energies that are happening right now
Mhm.
are an invitation for us to change the world. And I don't mean you have to make the world
Mhm.
in my image. It's more about, just like, every person has the right to live their life and to pursue their path. And you pursuing your path doesn't affect me pursuing mine. So, like, let's support
Right.
one another. Like, it doesn't have to be the villain and the hero anymore. And I really believe that we are, being invited to revisit that construct, that concept that I believe society is kind of structured on. Is it, from my perspective, there is no right or wrong. There
Well,
really, in the grand
yeah.
scheme of things, there is no good or bad. It's choices
Mhm.
and what we learn from those
Yeah.
choices that matters and makes a difference.
Well, the interesting is, okay, so the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, the Vedic astrology, they don't focus a lot on that just because you can't see it with the naked eye, so far out
Mm.
doesn't affect our charts. But then, some Vedic astrologers started using it, and I learned it because it is impactful. And the exciting thing, so Pluto made a return, and in the United States chart, it means that we are going to come back to the times of what the United States was built on. So through all of this chaos, that is very exciting to know that it is coming. With all the truths that are going to be revealed, you know, and we're going to come back to what the United States was built for and for the opportunities and the people. It's hard to believe, and there'll be a lot of
Given what we're
skepticism.
seeing, yes, there
Right.
is.
You know?
And
So,
not to make this show political, but just
oh no,
speaking real, like
being real,
speaking
yeah.
real, like no matter what side of the fence you land on or what your feelings are apolitical, you can't help but be affected by the energy that is going on around you. And quite frankly, there is a lot of hate that's
Mm-hmm.
being shown. There's a lot of corruption that I believe has always been there. It's just now coming to
Mm-hmm.
the surface. Like it's not hiding in the shadows anymore. We've got full blown sun. So I think it's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting that you were talking about Pluto, because Pluto is the Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
planet. Pluto is that drastic change, that drastic transformation. It forces you to go into the underworld and to look at the depths of what is actually really going on, getting into all the nooks and the crannies and the crags and the dregs of everything. But it's doing that not because it wants to keep you in torture. It's doing that so that you can continue to bring light, or to use your wording, to give light to those areas, because those areas are still, I want to
Mm-hmm.
say, part of source. They're just a lower vibrational frequency expression of source energy. And if we want to elevate, if we want to evolve, we have to be willing to look at all of the parts and the things. We can no longer compartmentalize on a consistent basis, I want to say, or like a long-term basis that allows us to bury our heads in the sands. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of this myself. Like it's easy to talk platitudes. It's easy to sort of generalize a thing and to say, oh, yeah, this is horrible and this is awful. It's a whole other thing when it's actually like at your doorstep. It gives you a different perspective. And I've been thinking about that a lot with all of the transformational energies that are coming around.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of clients from around the world. And it's easy to talk about me. Originally I'm from Canada, and now I live in the US here, and I'm a citizen of the US, and was so proud to be. Not so much right now, but I'm hoping that'll change. And I have clients who come from places that, like, they're looking at us and they're going, okay, yeah, it's crazy, but this is the world that I've always lived in. Like I live in a country where there is corruption. I live in a country where there is all of this kind of stuff that happens on a regular basis. And they're coming at it from the perspective of, it's disappointing that the US has devolved to a
Mm-hmm.
place where where we looked up to you. That's why so many people wanted to immigrate to the US, because it was the belief in the American dream and all that kind of stuff. So it's been an interesting wake up call for me from a transformational perspective to say, yeah, I have all of my beliefs. I shout it from the rooftops if anyone wants to know and wants to ask. But at the end of the day, wow, when I'm faced with it in my own country, at my door, it is a very visceral experience. And I think, speaking
Mm-hmm.
to wholeness, to not compartmentalizing any longer, this is part of the journey of reminding each and every one of us that we are truly all one from that spiritual and that energetic perspective. And what happens to one happens to all. And we are feeling that. So that gives me a lot of
Right.
hope that you're
Mm-hmm.
saying that about the chart is indicating that the US is coming full circle, and this is part of that
Right.
process.
And somehow all of this is going to bring everyone together and, collaboration in some way. Um, going back to you and me, and the commonality is that, it's like we're realistically helping people. It's not like fake cheerleading, like, oh, see the light, It's
Oh yeah.
we show the strengths and acknowledge everything, and we build this picture of potential, for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
who we
Mm-hmm.
encounter. It's very powerful.
I always love talking to you because you are so inspiring in that way. I think for me, there are times when I mean, I've been doing this now for like 10 years,
Mhm.
on an official, in an official capacity as a business. But unofficially, I've been doing it for a lot longer. And, I guess I, maybe it's like a desensitization of it. Maybe it's just because it's what I do day in and day out that I get somewhat removed or somewhat detached from the impact that
Mhm.
what we do has. And I mean, I'm about practicing what I preach, and every once in a while I have to remind myself, like, I have so many clients who are so generous in um what's the word? The phrase that's coming to my mind is praise, but
The
I don't feel like they're
feedback.
praising feedback. Thank you. I get often, more often than not, I get very positive feedback, and my nature is to not take it in, to not receive it.
Mhm.
And I need to change that because I'm telling others, hey, it's important for us to receive right now. It's important for us to receive, to make sure that our love cups are full and overflowing, because each and every one of us on this planet, not just you and I, Lisa, I believe that everyone has the ability in their chart, to make a difference, to matter, whether it's mattering to just one person in your life or mattering to, the masses, and everything in between. We all have the ability to give light, and,
Yes.
to spread that light to others. And I feel like now is the time, and that's why I love astrology, because it is the
Mhm.
time to evaluate. You get to use the astrology not from a predictability perspective, although you can do that too to a certain extent, but more from the perspective of, am I on track with what my soul came here to experience?
Right.
Am I on track when I look at the collective chart and I compare my individual chart with that? What am I choosing to contribute? What is the
Mhm.
legacy that I'm choosing to leave behind? And that's why I feel that, astrology can be so empowering to us, to help us align with our own individual truths, whatever that might be, and how we
Right.
choose to
Mhm.
impact the
Because if
world.
you're spreading your energy or putting your energy into areas that are not really the focus in your chart, then you get that blockage and lost, and then you blame yourself.
Yeah.
So the enlightening piece is, you got planets here and here and here, and you're drawn to these areas, and then they can have resistance if they're skeptical. But then it's like, during certain cycles of life, which I outline, then you're automatically drawn to those areas. It's kind of, oh wow, I fell into Vedic astrology at the time of so many planets in my first house and personal development and my true passion and finding my purpose. It all kind of aligned into meeting you. And I'm into tarot cards and I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's such a it's such a beautiful thing, this wild ride called life, because when
Hmm.
we are able to, resistance is part of the path, so don't beat yourself up over resistance. But if
Yeah.
you can get beyond the resistance, or you can acknowledge the resistance and still continue to live an inspired, intuitive life, it's just so freaking magical. Like, you and I would literally never have met had it been in any other capacity, because we don't run in similar circles. And so
Right.
the universe, our charts, our souls planned it so that I was going to be at the right place at the right time. You were at the right place at the right
Mhm.
time. And the magic happened. And I could have very easily, when I received your email, about an inquiry of an in-home visit, I could have very easily, and I was going to give you my usual standard line, which is thank you so much for reaching out, but I'm completely remote and I'm not doing an in-person blah bitty blue. But something stopped me, and it was the fact that he was a child and he had autism. And when you said that to me, I was like, my heart has always been connected in a lot of ways to children with autism. I used to work with kids with autism when I was in my youth, and I mean, I had the choice. I had the choice to say no, and who knows what would have happened as a result of that. You would have met somebody else. We would have taken a completely different path, and I would have missed out on all of this incredible connection, that the two of us
And
have, and
that's the
and that your
power
whole
of,
family has.
sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Everything in our life is building blocks. Let's everyone remember that. Every experience was there for a reason. Like you
Yes.
just said, you working with children with autism in another chapter of your life
Yep.
brought that connection, and no regrets. Let's tell people no regrets,
Yes.
because it's all meant to bring you to the next chapter, turn the page, and that is part of who you are and will give you the strength and to embrace new things and new ideas and new experiences.
And to use your word evolvement, that's the whole point of us being here on this planet, is to evolve ourselves on an individual soul journey. And through those individual choices and that individual evolvement, we also evolve humanity as a whole, as a collective. So I agree with
That
you.
is
No regrets. Don't
powerful.
Yes, don't look back. Move forward. Stop thinking
Right.
that you have mistakes. There are no mistakes, only choices, the experiences that we have as a result of those choices, and what we choose to learn and apply from a wisdom perspective as a result of those experiences. That, in a nutshell, is the purpose of life. If we can get into that space, we're good to go. Lisa, I
That's
can't
amazing.
believe we are already at time. I don't
Oh my
even
gosh.
know where that time went. So please tell everyone how they can connect with you, especially those, I mean, anyone who wants a reading from you, I highly recommend reaching out to Lisa for sure. And especially if you have a children with autism in your life, or parents with a child with autism that are struggling, definitely reach out to Lisa, because she knows her stuff on so many levels. So where can people find you?
Right. So the best place is find me on YouTube on Lisa Astro Channel, and then you will have my information in the description link, and you can connect with me. It has all of my social media links on there. So Instagram, I post inspirational quotes and my latest videos. And I love to connect with everyone. And you can discover my Autism Mom Hacks page on Instagram, where I share all of my best practices, raw videos, and I have a worldwide following and want to help give everyone hope. And so all of us can become the best versions of ourselves.
I love it. I love it. And for those of you who are interested in connecting with me, I'm Stacey the Black Feather Intuitive. You can check out my website, theblackfeatherintuitive.com. I also have my YouTube channel, The Black Feather Intuitive, and you can also find me on Blue Sky, and that is BFI PHX. So Black Feather Intuitive Phoenix is what I put on there. BFI PHX dot oh my God, what is it called? Dot bsky dot social. And you can check me out there. I am currently super excited about the fairly new show that I've been not producing, I've been creating, and I have a producer who's helping me out with it. It's called Black Feather Couture, Divining a VIP Life. If you want to know a little bit about me, the backstory on the life and the day of Stacey the Psychic, and how I am reinventing myself through this move to Phoenix. Would love to have you visit there. I do readings. I do things talking about all things metaphysical. And my favorite show to do is Day Drinking and Tarot, where I blend two of my favorite passions, wine and tarot. And it's just a blast. We talk a lot of transformation there too. So would love to see you guys there. Thank you so much all for tuning into the show. And we will see you next month. Transform unapologetically. Just go get it. Go get it.